Hey everyone, Alodar here. Today, as many of you know, Activision Blizzard released their fourth quarter earnings report for 2018. Now, these quarterly earnings reports are used for investors so that they can get a better understanding as to where the company is as a whole, where they're at with some of their projects, what kind of future earnings they could possibly expect, as well as also kind of soothe investors or investors who are possibly worried about a quarter's poor performance. Now, if you've never been involved in a quarterly earnings report phone call before, essentially what it is the upper management from this said company that is hosting a conference call for that the general public can actually listen in on. However, its general purpose is to inform investors, large investment firms, etc., of the earnings of a specific quarter. The company will then usually go in and examine each individual revenue-generating department. This will give a better understanding to investors or potential investors as to why that particular department either overperformed, underperformed, or performed exactly as expected in the previous quarterly earnings report. Quite often, this is used to soothe potential investors or people that have already invested in the company if the company did not perform particularly well during this quarterly report. Now, the purpose of this video is so that I can summarize that phone call for you so we can get a better understanding of where Activision Blizzard is going or what direction they're moving in the future. And with that understanding, we'd be able to maybe get a better picture as to what's going to happen with Warcraft, and in particular Classic World of Warcraft with the upcoming release. Now, Wowhead has already got a summary up on their page, so I'm going to go through most of their points just to give you an idea as to how I feel about these topics as they came up during the conference call. So the first one here is 2018 was the most profitable year in the company's history, but fell short of goals. So they had lofty goals and they fell short, but they had the most profitable year in the history of the company. That's good to hear, right? We'll see. Activision Blizzard's net bookings were a record $7.26 billion, up from $7.16 billion in 2017. Now, net bookings are your in-game microtransactions, your skins, all that sort of stuff. That's what's included in these net bookings. So you can understand why with $7.26 billion, why they're so important to Blizzard. This has me worried. This has me worried that Blizzard is going to be too greedy, and they're going to want to get as much revenue as they possibly can, and that might include microtransactions in Classic World of Warcraft. They have told us in previous interviews that so far right now that is not on the table, that they understand that that's not part of the game. But I'm warning you right now that if you start inputting microtransactions that were not in there during Classic World of Warcraft, those of us that love your game will probably stop playing it. I do not want to see ridiculous looking mounts all over the place and stupid helms that were not in the game, stuff like that. We don't want to see it. You will lose your you will lose your loyal base that are waiting for this game to come out. You will lose them. Blizzard's Q4 or fourth quarter was nuanced with 35 million MAU, stands for monthly active users in the quarter. So that's how many active users were playing their game. WoW saw expected declines after the expansion. Remember when World of Warcraft would come out with an expansion, they'd expect their monthly average users to actually go up as the expansion after the expansion came out. Remember those days? Those were good days. And Blizzard had declines in net bookings for Overwatch and Hearthstone. So Overwatch really underperformed. That's one of the things that you can take away from here. They really underperformed. Blizzard or World of Warcraft, apparently for in-game transactions, they did quite well. Blizzard has a contract with NetEase to publish their games in China through 2023. This doesn't really have much of an impact for myself, but I know it's been made, the point's been made that some games have been censored a little bit so that they could open up in the Chinese, or open up the Chinese market for them. So some of you that might play Hearthstone, you might notice that Jaina Proudmoore, her card has been changed. It used to show a full, her full cleavage or whatever, and in order to allow the game to be played in China, they had to cover it up. So that's why you may notice that the Jaina Proudmoore card in Hearthstone has been altered a little bit, if you noticed. So little things like that. I also know that they have some other weird rules over in Asia where you can't show red blood or something like that in games, or skeletons and dead people and all that sort of thing. That's why undead players or the undead race in World of Warcraft, why they've changed over the years, because they don't want to see bones sticking out and stuff like that. There's been some pretty good videos that you can Google that show these examples. Let's see. 2019 forecast will not assume that Blizzard will improve monetization as 2018 did. Now this one you look at and it's like, okay, well, they're declining, their player base is declining still because nothing new is coming out. But maybe this is a hint that there's not going to be microtransactions in classic World of Warcraft as well. So maybe a little bit of hope there. 2019 is a transition year with less major content releases than is ideal. Now, we saw that there was going to be a 20% increase to the development team for basically all the departments. And I've said many times in stream, over and over again, there's articles from years ago that have announced that, basically said that Blizzard had always wanted to have yearly releases for classic World of Warcraft. It's coming. It won't be an expansion every year, but you're going to have an expansion, then classic, an expansion, then Burning Crusade. That's right. I said Burning Crusade. Every second year, you're probably going to see a re-release of another game. And think of how easy that would be for them to do. And with how easy it would be for them to do, how much revenue would be generated from it. Overland, all the zones for Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, they haven't been changed. They just have to update the characters and their classes and stuff like that. But basically everything's already there. Anyways, that's for another video. The company will invest more in development. They're also deprioritizing initiatives that aren't meeting expectations, as well as in administrative areas. So this brings us to the next point. Approximately 8% of staff were laid off. This point here actually kind of disgusts me. The company just released a report saying that they just had their most profitable year ever, and they laid off almost 10% of their staff. I understand that maybe they weren't staff that were directly associated with, producing content that generates you money. But I can't count how many times I've had to call someone at customer service or talk to someone on Twitter or whatever, and somebody has responded to me with great customer service that has kept my business, etc., etc. Yes, what they do themselves may not generate profit, but what they do is, it's a little bit understated, and it disappoints me to no end that almost 10% of people are losing their jobs. And I get not all of those people are, customer service based or whatever. I'm happy to see that they're putting, they're going to be hiring 20% more people for their development teams. That's fantastic. But when you've just had such a huge profit and you go and lay off 10% here, almost 8% of your staff, that's disappointing. Next point, Warcraft, Hearthstone, Overwatch, and Diablo will see an increase of 20% in their development teams in 2019. So we've already talked about this. WoW has also has a content pipeline established for regular releases. Again, I just went over that. 1 year it's going to be expansion, next year Classic, the year after that Burning Crusade, etc., etc. I don't think they'll go further than Wrath of the Lich King, although it wouldn't surprise me to see them get a little bit greedy and try and go to Cataclysm as well. We'll have to see. Blizzard is investing in more Warcraft games as well as esports leagues and partnerships. But if that just means they're going to continue developing more expansions and, Classic, Burning Crusade, etc., etc. And esports leagues, I'm a fan of esports. I generally only watch the World of Warcraft ones, but I'm a fan. Diablo headcount will increase substantially as the team works on more unannounced projects. So for those of you that I was standing next to when we were at this last BlizzCon, and you were there waiting, eagerly awaiting to hear the next Diablo expansion. Diablo 4 is coming out. And then you sat there and watched as Diablo Immortal was announced. And I felt your pain. I truly felt your pain. I was disappointed for you. I'm not a big Diablo fan, but for those of you, this BlizzCon should probably be huge. I have a feeling they're going to have a major announcement with BlizzCon, not only with Diablo, but obviously World of Warcraft's expansion is going to be launched. I expect that there's probably going to be a huge announcement for Overwatch. So I expect this next BlizzCon to be huge. They're aggressively hiring talent in the upcoming quarters and scaling the business for future growth. So we've gone over that. There's no new major releases for Blizzard in 2019 with the expectations of low financial performance. So no new major releases, so nothing's going to be released until after 2019. Now, I'm assuming they're not including Classic World of Warcraft here. We all know that's coming out this summer. So Blizzard thinks the pipeline looks promising beyond 2019 on PC, consoles, and mobile. So here we go. Next BlizzCon, you're probably going to have the major announcement for Diablo, which will come out in 2020. Major announcement for Overwatch, which will probably happen in 2020. You'll probably have a major announcement at BlizzCon for World of Warcraft's next expansion coming out in 2020. So those are probably going to be some major ones for the PC. Consoles, I'm not a console player, I don't know. Mobile, you already know Diablo Immortal's coming out. And whether you are a Diablo Immortal think it's a good idea or not, well, whether you like the idea or not, the fact of the matter is it's going to generate a tremendous amount of revenue for Blizzard. So you'll probably see that they're coming out with Diablo Immortal. I've heard rumblings that there might be some other major announcement as well. I think actually they mentioned something about Call of Duty as a mobile game. Again, I'm not a big Call of Duty fan, but I could see that being a big revenue generator as well. And the last point, the increased investment in development, meaning reduced spending in other areas, which generated the layoffs. I'm really disappointed in Blizzard for doing this. Your customer service staff, every time I've contacted them, have been absolutely tremendous. When you lay off the only CM of Classic World of Warcraft, the only person that we generally get any information from, I'd say probably 90% of the information that we've gotten regarding Classic World of Warcraft, when that person is laid off, it's like a slap in the face to those of us that are dying to play Classic World of Warcraft. Like, we're eagerly waiting information, but we don't have anyone else that's responding to us on the forums. Nothing. Like, you guys don't make any attempt whatsoever to talk to the Classic community. And it's really disappointing. He's basically been the only person we've been able to talk to, because you're sure not doing it, and you're laying off these types of people. Like, it's really disappointing, and it actually kind of pisses me off. Keep in mind, we are your paying customers. We want to be your paying customers, but I feel with these layoffs, the community, the manager for Vanilla in particular, it's like a slap in the face. Honestly, a slap in the face to feel like you just don't feel that we're worthy to have our own person updating us on what's going on, or checking in on the forums from time to time. It's really kind of disappointing, especially after you've just announced 2018 was the most profitable year in the company's history. The most profitable year in the company's history, and you're laying off 800 staff. Disappointing. Anyways, I do hope that you did enjoy the video and that you did find it somewhat informative. And if you did, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and a subscription to the channel. And if you're interested, I do stream almost nightly on twitch.tv/Alodar if you want. There will be a link down at the bottom in the description. You can come join me there basically any night. Me and the people that are in the channel, we generally talk nonstop World of Warcraft, in particular Classic. We're all really looking forward to playing the game, so come over there and join us if you want to talk about anything that I've talked about in any one of my videos, or just Classic in general. Have a good day, and until next time.